Golden State Warriors distanced themselves from team investor who said nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. Warriors minority owner talks back comments on Uyghurs. CNN. The Golden State Warriors have distanced themselves from comment made by Chamath Palihapitiya, a party owner who said that nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. Palihapitiya made the comment on the All In podcast on Saturday after co-host Jason Calacanis brought up U.S. President Joe Biden's very strong stance on the alleged human rights abuses faced by Uyghurs, the minority in China. Nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs, okay? You bring it up because you really care, and I think it's nice that you care. The rest of us don't care. Palihapitiya said, while Kalakanis reacts in surprise. I'm just telling you a very hard, ugly truth. Of all the things I care about, yes, it's below my line. Chamath Palihapitiya speaks during an interview following Virgin Galactic Holdings' initial public offering on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange in New York, U.S. on Monday, October 28, 2019. Co-host David Sachs said the average person would care when the topic is presented to them, but Palihapitiya continued, I care about the fact that our economy could turn on a dime if China invades Taiwan. I care about the climate change. I care about America's crippling and decrepit healthcare infrastructure. But if you are asking me, do I care about the segment of the class of people in another country? Not until we can take care about ourselves. Will I prioritize them over us? The 45-year-old billionaire investor also said that the concept of sustaining human rights globally is a luxury brief. We don't do enough domestically to actually express that view in real, tangible ways, he said. So until we actually clean up our own house, the idea that we step outside of our borders about somebody else's human rights track record is deplorable. In a statement to CNN on Monday, the Warriors distanced themselves from Palihapitiya's comment as a limited investor who has no day-to-day operating functions with the Warriors. Mr. Palihapitiya does not speak on behalf of our franchise, and his views certainly don't reflect those of our organization. The NBA did not respond to CNN request for comment. A close-up view of the Warriors team logo. I'm come across as lacking empathy. Palihapitiya is listed as an executive board member on the Warriors website. CNN has learned Palihapitiya owns 2% of the Warriors. Following an outpouring of criticism on social media, Palihapitiya addressed his comment on Twitter, posting a statement with the caption reading in part, important issues deserve the nuanced discussions. In listening to this week's podcast, I recognize that I'm come across as lacking empathy. I acknowledge that entirely. As a refugee, my family fled a country with its own set of human rights issues, so this is something that is very much a part of my lived experience. To be clear, my belief is that human rights matter, whether in China, the United States, or elsewhere. Full stop. Boston Celtics center Enes Kanter Pridham was one of the prominent critics of Palihapitiya's comment on the Uyghurs. Pridham recently changed his name from Enes Kanter. He told CNN his new last name comes from what his teammates have been calling him. In recent months, the 11-year NBA veteran has used social media and especially designed clothing during NBA games to bring awareness to and criticize China's treatment of the Uyghur community, a Muslim minority in the country's far west. The U.S. State Department estimates as many as 2 million Uyghurs and other ethnic and religious minorities have been detained in internment camps in China's Xinjiang region since 2017. Former detainees allege they were subjected to intense political indoctrination, forced labor, torture, and even sexual abuse. China has repeatedly denied the accusations of human rights abuses in the country. Freedom has also raised the awareness to China's treatment of Tibet, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, and has more recently called for a boycott of 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games in protest external interference. Freedom's comments have prompted a backlash in China, with Celtics games being pulled by Chinese video streaming site Tencent and the government criticizing Cantor's comment. With a clip of Paliapitia's comment, Freedom said on Twitter, "When the NBA says we stand for justice, don't forget there are those who sell their soul for money and business, like Paliapitia, the owner of the Warriors, who says nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. When genocides happen, it's people like this that let it happen. Shame." When asked for their reaction to Paliapitia's comment, Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Jiao Lijian said at a briefing on Tuesday, I have not heard the relevant information you mentioned. However, what I can tell you is that Xinjiang affairs are purely China's internal affairs, and we will never tolerate any external interference. In December, a London-based independent tribunal ruled that China committed genocide against Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities in Xinjiang, accusing China's senior leadership, including President Xi Jinping, of primary responsibility for acts perpetrated against Muslim minority groups. A previous version of this story incorrectly states the size of Paliapitia's stake in the Warriors.